Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year 2025. I'm
Amazing.
ready. Are you ready?
I am ready. I think a fresh start is
Yes.
always a good feeling. And this is the time of year you can figure out what you aim to achieve. And some of you aim to get more organized. That's probably why January has been named Get Organized Month. This is the time when your intentions are really good.
Yes.
We'd like to help you with that. So obviously, I'm not the person here to help you. This is me, Eden. Christine Stone, professional organizer, is very interested in what it is that is causing you a little stress in your life, what things you want to address in the coming year. So we asked you, we have a Facebook group called Ladies Uncluttered and Unfiltered, Ladies Only Facebook group. You join it, and there's a post there where you can comment and let us know the things that are troubling you right now and how you would love to get some help with them. So yes, we're going to do an episode now where we address some of these things. We'll do a second episode too. We'll do a part 2. And then also throughout the year, we will be consulting this list. So don't feel unseen or unheard if you don't hear about your comment in this episode, please.
First of all, I want to start off by saying I have read every single one of them. Ladies, you are amazing. That's all I'm going to say. And I've even read the comments other ladies have made on some of the posts because I love to hear some of the advice you're giving each other. So I was really impressed with how many people really were brave enough to share their struggles.
It's a phenomenal community.
It really is. And you guys impressed me. So if I don't get to yours today, it'll definitely be in another episode. So like she said, I heard and I have seen all of these, and keep them coming, because if this is something you guys really need help with, we want to help.
Exactly. I'm here to play the role of you who needs the help, because Christine has organized me many times, and that sounds like it didn't take, but we've done different areas.
Yes.
And sometimes it slips. That's what happens. That is a natural thing to have happen over years. You need to just to judge things up a little bit, and that's what she's been doing for me.
Yes.
So let's start. You've got a list here.
Yes.
It's a nice list. Why don't you just tell us who it is and what their comment is and how you want to respond.
Okay. So the first one is Chris, coincidentally. I'm struggling with time to get stuff done. Getting organized for me would require at least 2 people to keep me on track. My husband is no help, which I hear that all the time.
I'm sure you do.
All the time. Because I deal with this on a regular basis, people often think I have a magic wand to make things just magically happen. And for someone like this, when you're struggling to get stuff done, number one, you definitely need someone who's going to come help motivate and inspire you to do it. If you cannot a lot of people cannot afford to hire a professional organizer, although there are different organizers that have different rates. So some of them are very reasonable. So you really need to do your homework and check around. If you have an organized friend, someone who loves helping with organization. Next, it's so important, and you're going to hear me say this a lot. Don't start before you have a game plan. If you don't have a game plan, don't start, because so many times people start to get rid of things and then they go, okay, I just moved it from one place to another. Where am I putting it? Where am I getting rid of it to? Then people come in your house, your husband, and will pick through it and want to put it back. So when I say game plan, your game plan is you're going to start with one area at a time and make sure that's totally completed. So don't start with a major, huge project. Start with something small and have your ducks in a row. Are you going to take it somewhere? Are you going to consign the items? What are you going to do with them before you even begin? Because I will tell you, I walk into a lot of houses where people had the best intentions to start the whole organization process, and it didn't go well because there was not a plan in place. So that's what I would tell her. And when you really are serious about getting organized, you don't rely on a husband, a family member. because they're emotionally attached to the items and nothing will get done. Ladies, I'm telling you, if you want it to really get done, have someone who is not emotionally attached to the items you're getting rid of, which would be someone not in your family. So that's what I would say for Chris.
That is such a big, important thing to remember, that starting small, one junk drawer, one cabinet. Because
yes.
I've done this. I will take, before Chris, I would take everything out of everywhere in the kitchen. Now I've got a disaster on my hands, and I don't know where to put anything because I don't know where everything else is going to go once I've taken the spot up. So one place at a time.
And also, if you take all the glasses out or those Yeti cups, whatever, and then your husband walks in the door and it's in a box and he's, what are you doing with that?
Yes.
And you're like, "Ugh, it's old, it's cracked, it's this." I can hear all these excuses. I like it. I got that in such and such time.
I was playing golf 25 years ago. No.
I can't believe you'd get rid of that. No, it's not going. And then the arguing starts. Just avoid it. Avoid that from even happening. I'm telling you. So
I'm that person in my house. My husband will do these purges and I'm like, let me look through everything first, when he probably, if he would have put it in the car, I would have not.
Exactly.
In 5 years, maybe I'd ask for it.
Exactly.
Maybe.
So now I'm moving on to Beth. I am struggling with the emotions that come from decluttering. I get overwhelmed by how much there is to do. And the reason why I wrote this one down is because that's what happens. You have such emotions attached to your things that to even start it you get nervous, you get anxious, you get like frustrated. It doesn't need to be that way, because if you give the items that you don't use, you don't love, and most importantly, you don't have room to store, and you give them to somebody else who really needs them, would really use them, and maybe has really the areas to store them, whether it's a friend, a sister, your kids, whatever. Getting rid of items doesn't have to be so dramatic and so sad if you really figure out that you're giving somebody else something. A lot of times I donate items to the homeless shelter. They love them. It's almost like they're getting something totally brand new. So whatever you donate, someone else, it's new to them. It's not old. So that's part of how you get away from the emotional part of it. You have to rework your brain into not thinking that it's a sad time, it's an emotional time. It's really a happy time, because when you're done, you're going to be so relieved and happy and glad that you let these items go and that somebody else will be using those items. And if it's junk or trash, you shouldn't miss it anyway. If it's not going to be donated or consigned, you shouldn't be missing something that's meant for the garbage. So
I came across a collar, a little Christmas collar with a red bow on it that Sky, our dog, used when she was a puppy, and it doesn't fit her anymore. And I thought, if I give it up and we ever get another puppy at Christmas, they won't have a collar. That is crazy.
It is crazy.
There's probably a small dog in my neighborhood that could wear it tomorrow, or not now, but next year. We're recording this at a time where they could.
But also, that's a good point, and let me tell you why. There's the Humane Society that you can donate old towels and sheets. They would love old collars, old leashes. Really start doing your homework, like I said previously, on where is this stuff going, and you won't feel bad about it. You'll feel like you're helping somebody else instead of getting rid of your stuff.
Because you don't second guess yourself when you do a good deed.
No.
So instead of looking at it as I gave something away, look at it as, shall I do this good deed? So that's something too.
Okay, so now we have Caitlin, and it's, you would think, well, you're just repeating this, but the part I like, she says, decluttering, I just have to go room by room, which that part I did, and get rid of stuff and not hold on to crap and move it to a different room, which that's the problem. You don't move it to a different room.
Right.
I've started, but it's overwhelming and time consuming. So here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to anybody out here. It is time consuming when you finally decide to declutter your home. It is not something you do in 15 minutes. It's very rare. Number one, I could do your house in a short amount of time because number one, I've been doing it for years. Number two, I'm not attached to anything, but you personally would not be able to take your whole entire house and do it at one time. So she is on the right track by going room to room, but what she's doing is shuffling crap. I'll say that from room to room, which is really going to be very frustrating.
I tend to think she's saying she needs to not do that. Oh, I see what you're saying. She's currently doing that. She needs to stop. You're right. That is very much just procrastination. Really.
Right. And when you move, like people will say, I don't need to declutter. I just need to organize. And I always say, then you're not going to be happy when I leave because we're just shuffling stuff around. We're moving stuff. You're not really doing a thorough job if you don't get rid of some items. You don't have to get rid of anything, but to really appreciate having a professional come in, you have to purge and then organize. So she's on the right track that you have to start small and take room by room. But listen, Caitlin, have a game plan and then start your room by room and block off the time. Set a timer like Eden does. She's the timer queen.
I'm a timer gal.
And set a timer. Say, I'm going to give or put it in your calendar. Okay, on Saturday for 1 hour, I am going to declutter the guest room or I'm going to declutter my bathroom. Give it an hour. Have the garbage can ready to get rid of stuff. Really, really take everything step by step.
Okay. Carrie
and Kathleen, I put together because Carrie's issue was her desk drawers and Kathleen was home office organization and Kim was home office space shared between a day job, a side hustle, and she has a shedding dog. Now, I can help with everything but the shedding dog because my dog sheds incredibly and it drives me crazy. Home office organization, that became a huge issue during COVID because everyone was working from home. And a lot of people are still working from home. I work from home a lot, so I totally get the struggle. The first thing you do with anything is get your shredder out and shred any paperwork you no longer need. A lot of stuff is digital now. We don't have the paper problem we used to have. So really clearing out all the old paper clutter. Check how long you've had your bank statements and get rid of them. If you have a lot, put them in a huge banker's box, bring them down to one of the big box stores, UPS shreds, Staples, Office Depot, they all have shredding. I personally myself, once a year on the 30th, 31st, I go through my entire office with my banker's box, put everything in there, and then I go and I bring it to one of those stores to shred because a personal shredder, sometimes you'll just burn it out and it takes forever. So don't waste your time. Then figure out, what are you lacking in that office? Do you need shelving? Do you need drawers? Do you have a closet in there that you can convert? Like my closet in my office is a short file cabinet and a file cabinet that's just drawers. I have shelving above those, but I created that. I made that because that's what I needed. We did a built-in bookcase. You got to figure out what you're missing. And a lot of people in an office, it's shelving and drawers.
One of the things you did early on, we had just started the podcast and we had a listener ask you about an office where her kids all do their homework and she uses it as her office. And this wasn't something you would recommend in every situation, but you suggested the most incredibly creative thing. And that was bringing the desks into the middle of the room and lining all four walls with shelves.
Yes. Yeah, because you have to use the space. Like she was saying, she is a day job and a side hustle. You have to keep those separate or else they get mixed up and it gets stressful and frustrating. So really figure out what you need in order to create. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You could go to IKEA and get an inexpensive bookshelf. People think I can't afford that. You can afford it if you do one little thing at a time. You don't have to create the whole thing all at once. For desk drawers, it's just so imperative to purge and have drawer organizers. If you don't have drawer organizers, you open that drawer and it's things that are just thrown in there. I also am a big believer in desktop collators to have your files on your desk that you use all the time, pending items, bills to pay, orders placed, and then also having a file box that you can move from place to place. I have had mine, I have two of them, and they're amazing. You really just have to look at the space and really think, how can I use this to work to my advantage?
Okay. Julie is up next. Julie, I think, speaks for a lot of us in a lot of situations, and that is struggling to just get motivated.
It's a new year. So I hear you, Julie. A lot of people, that is their struggle, is they just can't get motivated to do it. And the reason I think people can't get motivated to do it is because there isn't a reason to get motivated to do it. A lot of my clients, which I've told you all this before, there's a reason they call me in. They're downsizing. They're renovating a house. They just had a baby. They got a divorce. They just became a widow or a widower. There's always a reason.
Have you ever heard of a hormone disruptor? It doesn't sound good because it isn't, and they're everywhere. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed by hormonal changes, we've got something great to share with you. It's called Hormone Harmony, and it contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. And here's the beauty about those. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes. You're not imagining the racing thoughts or the low moods because those are menopause symptoms. So is poor sleep, bloating, and gas. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. Try Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Use our code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com. Use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Go to happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 10 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience a 10-year delay between symptoms and seeking help, and close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information and to learn how you can help.
So you may not be motivated now, but trust me, everybody out there, there will become a time when you don't have a choice. You won't have a choice. And I've seen it all the way up to 90-year-olds going into assisted living, going from a big, huge house into they need a bed, a dresser. That's it. And so eventually, at some point in your life, this stuff has got to go. So why not do it when you're at a place in your life that you're not being forced to do it?
You know what always motivated me to purge? Not the way that I purge now that I know you, but neighborhood community garage sales. When you knew there was going to be one, it had a date.
Yep.
And then you suggested scheduling donation pickups.
Yes.
So it's on your calendar. Then now you have a deadline.
Yep.
You
Also,
created it.
think where you can donate this stuff. A church. If you go to church, churches love having those type of drives. You could do any place that will take your stuff. Also, estate sales. If you have antiques, if you have china and crystal, estate sales love this stuff. So if your parent has died and you're like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Call an estate sale company and they will come set up an estate sale for you. I think there's just so many options. People need to really do their homework and not get discouraged.
Let's talk about how that works, because I've been to some estate sales, and at first I didn't quite understand what was happening and why is that different than a yard sale. With an estate sale, this company comes in.
Yeah.
And they take a piece of the action.
Yes,
obviously.
they do.
But they're the ones who are there selling. You're not going to have to to be in the house while everything that your mother loved is walking out the front door with some stranger. It's happening on your back. You can turn around and donate your profits to charity if that's what you think mom would want you to do.
But also what a lot of people don't realize about estate sales is they sell everything. Mm-hmm. They sell the vacuum cleaner. Mm-hmm. They sell the dishes. They sell the glasses in the cabinet. They sell everything, and they don't want you to be bothered with it. They don't say, okay, now clean out your cabinet, put everything. They come in and do all of that for you. So you don't need to get rid of anything before you call an estate sale. They'll tell you what they will and what they will not take. And so then you're only left getting rid of the stuff they will not take. So really, it's an amazing thing. If you have enough stuff to do an entire house, that's the route I would go if it was an entire home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So now we have Kimberly. She has a long story, but I'm just going to get to the end of it. A lot of people, first of all, had a scrapbooking, arts and crafts kind of issue, paints and papers and paintbrushes, and didn't want to throw or give away anything because they might need it in the future. And she said she's not that type of person that she wants to buy it again. I have a very hard time with this and I need advice and help. So here's the thing. First of all, I love people who are crafty because I am not. I don't have a crafty bone in my body. So I get the struggle if you are an artist or you like to paint as a side thing. But if you are going to keep it, you need to keep it organized. If not, you need to let go of it and donate it to a homeless shelter or a kids, area that they could use your paintbrushes and your paint that's in good shape.
Your local elementary school.
Yeah, an elementary school. And nowadays, teachers will take anything that's in good shape because they need it. They don't have the funding to get the stuff they need. So if you have like unopened paintbrushes or paint you never used or crafts, because they use crafts all the time in the lower school, that's where you want to be donating those items, and they'll be so appreciative. What I find funny is I don't want to get rid of anything because what if I miss it? What if I miss it and I don't want to have to go buy it again? And one woman said, I did miss it and I wished I wouldn't have gotten rid of it. And now I have to buy it again. When I tell you that is so rare that someone misses something, I can't even tell you. What happens is you end up getting rid of things when you're in a hurry to move out, to go into another area of your life. Then you just throw out everything without even thinking about it because you're in a hurry. So I've talked about this so many times. If you know you're going to move or downsize or move into an over 55 community, whatever it is, or a condo from a house, don't wait until the week you're moving because you will throw out stuff because you're like, oh my God, I've got to be out in a week. And so this will help you prevent from throwing out things you want that you just tossed. So really give yourself, I always say, at least 6 weeks before you move. At least 6 weeks, if you can do longer, and start the process room by room.
But if we're talking about things like, let's say it's special scissors or a certain kind of glue or this or that, and you're like, what if I decide later in a year, 2 years that I want to do a project and then I have to go and rebuy it? Look at that expense as the rent you've paid on the more space you got for the year that it was not in your house. Because holding on to something, I don't know why the human brain does this, but holding on to something that's, for example, a craft or a hobby item will just make you not interested in doing that item, that craft or that hobby. You just have to, if it's worth doing, you'll put the work in and do it.
I was telling you, I was at my in-laws' 65th wedding anniversary, and there was a woman there who heard I was a professional organizer and had said the thing everyone says, oh my God, I need you, which great, that makes me feel. And she has an antique French set of iron pans, like pots and pans. And she has a convection stove, not gas. And you can only use these type of pans on gas. But she's kept them for years and years in her garage. And everything else is in her garage. And this is my point. She could sell, those are amazing pans that someone else would want. But keeping everything in a garage that you're not going to use because you may need it someday and you don't have to repurchase it. If you really sit and think about what you're saying, it sounds not, because you're taking up space and you're not entertaining. You're not having people at your house. You're avoiding everything because you can't deal with cleaning anything out. And so you're not living your life. You're just not living the present. You're so worried about getting rid of something that you're not living in it today and enjoying your life. And it's just no way to live. I can tell you that. And I know from experience, because when people get rid of things and I leave, they are so happy, so happy. Mm-hmm. So I hope we've answered this question. Like I said, I don't have a magic wand, but I know that if it's something you need to repurchase, unless it's a couch, it's not the end of the world. And I really don't think you will miss what you have let go of. I've never really heard of that in all the years. I've been doing this for 15 years. So it was a rare thing, but that's why I wanted to mention it, because you got to talk about everything. And so we have Elaine. Every year I start off with January with cleaning, organizing one thing every day. On a tough day, it may be a purse, a shelf, or a drawer. Just one thing every day. Elaine, you're my new best friend. Can I just say that?
I love that philosophy.
And that's why I did this one, because she didn't have a lot of stuff, but she made such sense. On a weekend, it may be something more ambitious, a closet, a row of cabinets, but every day I find time for one thing. Additionally, when I sit down at my laptop or even on my phone, I delete and unsubscribe to at least 15 things before doing anything else. Let me tell you, Elaine, seriously, she's music to my ears.
Oh, Elaine.
Ditto with everything Elaine said. See how she's doing it though?
So manageable.
Room by room.
So, that's a whole other thing. And we've talked about it here and there, but yeah, it's the clutter everywhere. It's digital clutter too.
Yeah.
I loved that. Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah. And what's funny is every single day for 5 minutes, I get my coffee, I sit at my computer with my phone next to it, and I unsubscribe to some things that have come in that the junk mail hasn't caught. I delete my junk mail and I make sure everything's off my phone. 5 minutes every day. Because nowadays you have to do it every day because the amount of spam that comes in, and people are exhausted from it. Mm-hmm. They're exhausted from it. So anyway, photos. I didn't write the name down. I'm sorry, but photos. I'm going to read what she said. Those are tough. I started scrapbooks for my girls when they were babies and have yet to finish them. They now have children of their own. My goal is to work on them in the new year and give them completed albums for Mother's Day. Another thing I love, although like I said, I'm not crafty. Each kid had one page and then I took out the pictures and threw the scrapbooks away. Boxes. So good for her. Mm-hmm. I have no more excuses. I've gained my office space back and I'm semi-retired with a little more free time now. I've also realized I don't need to not document every single event of their lives too. I think this still might have been Elaine. Anyway, another shout out. Amazing. I love it. She's saying how she's gained space back in her home. She's retired. I love it. Mm-hmm. Love it.
It's amazing to do these type of things in small little batches, as you mentioned earlier, though, because photos will drain the life out of you if you do what I did the first time I tried to organize them, which is take them all out. And I tried to even do that thing where you photograph each page and it separates it up and puts it in the cloud and everything. And let me tell you, that is something. I like your boxes methods. We do have an entire episode, if you want to go back and scroll through, about Christine's tried and true organization of photos method. it's phenomenal.
One thing I can tell you, for anyone out there listening that's over 50 knows about paper photos, the old school photos. And in my opinion, and I have a client I'm working with right now, and photos is the thing. I'm doing the box method. And if you don't do something simple, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. So getting the lids that are sealed so that no bugs, no mildew can get inside of them, and sorting by children and sorting out and labeling the boxes, sorting whatever way you want to sort it to make it work.
We did one box that was specifically Christmas because we like to be able to, then we know it's a set day. Everything else was by name, friends, extended family, each child. But when we did the Christmas, that was intentional because we want to be able to see everything. You could see a progression there.
Yeah.
You can see a year by year, same date, same theme. And it has worked really well for us.
And that's the thing about photos. Get different size containers. If you have stuff already in albums, just put all the albums in one of the containers and label them family photo albums. Don't try to go through each album.
Well,
and it's too stressful.
I wish I would have done that. That would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it was also a very fun family activity to have all the boxes out and have the kids there. This was this year. And everybody would I had them all on the dining room table, and everyone would pick up photos, and they would just walk around and put them in the right box. And I said, duplicates gotta go, because once upon a time you got that second photo free.
Yeah.
And you don't need to.
And you're so lucky because you had your kids there and your husband to help you. A lot of people, their kids live out of state,
Sure.
so they can't come and help them. So that's where putting just the photo albums in a bin and labeling it family will come in very handy. So also, and no one likes to talk about this, and I get it, believe me, but God forbid something happens to you. How does anyone know what anything is, where anything is, if you don't label things, if you don't say Christmas photos or each child's name? You want to make, in my opinion, things, that's a very traumatic time for your children. You want to make selling your stuff, getting rid of your stuff, taking your stuff as easy as possible for your kids. You don't want them to go, hey, God, this is going to be, you come do it. No, you do it.
You
No,
like a match.
Yeah. You get the dumpster. No, you get the dumpster. So anyway, we're going to do a whole nother episode because we had so many and I didn't get a chance to get to all of them, but we will put up another one so you guys can comment under that one on what do you need help with in 2025 in order to get your life organized.
I love that so much. So if you are not yet knowledgeable about our Patreon page, that's where a lot of the videos from Christine Organizing Me live. So hang on, you're going to hear an announcement at the end about all of the ways that you can be a part of our community. But remember, if you have things that you no longer love, you no longer need, you no longer use, you no longer have room for, you can let them go.
And please don't look back.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And before we wrap up, here are a couple of ways you can support us and stay connected. First, we invite you to join our free Facebook group called Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only. It's a great space to connect with like-minded women and share your thoughts. Second, be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen. This way you'll be reminded whenever a new episode is released. We'd also appreciate it if you could leave us a review. And if you love what we do, consider giving us 5 stars. We don't know why that helps, but we're told it does. Check out our Patreon page where you can access episodes a day early, watch them on video, and enjoy them without commercials. We'll leave links to some of these things in our show notes. Thank you for your support. Women over 50, we see you and we love you.